All right. We live again with the general. You already know what time it is. You get the rawest, hardest analysis on the YouTube in the universe. You see, dealing with issues all related to blackness, black history, black heritage, black politics, whatever it is, and it's dealing with blackness. We touch on it over here. Before we get started, family, I want to make sure y'all check me out on Patreon. The link is right there at the top of the chat. Over 600 exclusive live streams. You cannot view no other place on the planet. I want you to get over there, dropping tomorrow the Islamic Comedic Order. Click the link at the top of the chat. Be in the house. Visuals, mind blowing presentation only can be given by the general. My mind is the deepest. You got to come in here and get this true family. All right. The Secretary of the Navy has quit in the middle of the war with Iran. Pure chaos. What's going on now, family? Yeah, you just motherfuckers is quitting. Well, who was it? It was the army. Was it the army? Well, which one was it? The last one was the believe was the army. Was the Air Force? Was the army? The Secretary of the Army just quit. That don't look good. I ain't gonna lie about that. Don't look good. You understand what I'm saying? But what I will say is this: sometimes being in a confrontation may make you tighten shit up too. You see what I'm saying? And if you have some cats, that just they haven't been in no type of conflict in a while, and so you don't see the kinks, in the armor, the chink, or what they call them, kinks in the armor, until you get in a confrontation. I'm not saying that's what it is, because it don't look good to be, especially and you on the water. You know, you 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 got an operation on the water right now. You see, you got an operation on the water right now. So, you know, in the Secretary of the Navy then quit. You see, the Secretary of the Navy then quit. So this is very detrimental that this happened. You see, this is very detrimental. So we got to see what's really going on. Did they force him to quit? Did they force him to quit? Did he quit because, of the situation at hand? Is he upset at the situation at hand? Or is he just he ain't fitting the job? You see, that might be a factor too. So, like I said, you don't know until you put them on. That's just like when you get a first round a draft. Shit, you know what I'm saying? You don't know until you get them out on the field. If they, they what they, shit. You could be a first round pick. Shit, that don't mean nothing till they get your ass out there on the field. uh uh we don't know what you're working with. You know what I'm saying? We don't know. We might have to trade you off. So but I'm gonna get off into it and look into it, deeper, but it don't look good, to be fine so many of the top, and but what I will do, I will reserve, certain opinions on the strength of, I know that it could be y'all not fit for this type of where we at. This is some critical shit. And like I said, some people, they good long as they ain't on the field. But once they had to get on the field for real and you see they got weaknesses, then you had to get their ass up out of there. You know what I'm saying? And put somebody in that's gonna do the job. So it could be a number of things. It could be a number of things. And so, yeah, the military most definitely need to update. You do. Had all them damn. You got a bunch of sissies in there. You got men in there with and shit. They and it's supposed to be an army of men. Then you got motherfuckers in here with the rainbow colors and shit. Man, like man, I didn't come in here for this shit. I come in here to go to war. I come in here, and you in here and they in there with all that. I could imagine, like, damn. So, yeah, you most definitely got to update. You most definitely got to go back to the old school, as far as how it's ran. But obviously, these secretaries, which is the top person you got the top person in the Navy, top person in the Army. Now I don't know. Now somebody said this guy ain't even out of the Navy. So, Donald, I think he was appointed by Donald Trump, and that might be why he got his ass up out of there. Because to my understanding, he ain't even in the Navy. To my understanding, he wasn't even in the Navy per se. So I don't know if he was somebody that was just appointed, who wasn't even who had never even enlisted in the Navy. I had to look at that. I have to look at that because when I saw him, I didn't see, I see him in just regular clothes. And usually if you a goddamn, and you a general or whatever, you got your uniform on. So I don't know if he's just somebody that was appointed. I don't know. And if he was, maybe he needed, you got to stay within the ranks and file. And now that one guy who I think he was the secretary of the army or something. A lot of people was a little upset, with him leaving there. Because a lot of people vouch for him. Now we're gonna see what's going on, and I want to get off into why so many of these lead, these high ranking generals and they saying this motherfucker head self, which I don't like him. I don't like none of them really, just to be front. But I know he's a perpetrator. He's not a real general. He wasn't even a general. And I don't see how in the hell, you would expect somebody that's the Secretary of Defense. You would think that they would come, you a general, not no major, a major, no, not Secretary of Defense. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be a high ranking general. Somebody that really done been on that field with the men that respect, that's respected. Been there for a while, been to some wars. Shit. You understand? You can't be nosy, and if you don't know what it is, what it feel like to smell that damn gunpowder and seeing what the strategy of war. And so, you know, he I don't see how he became Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War. That's really laughable to me. Because you being arrogant to men that done proven they metal, you know what I'm saying? And that don't look good for somebody who ain't, just a major to be, dismissing, generals and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Cause they not gonna bend their back to somebody that's really beneath them. And I noticed that about Donald Trump. He appoint a motherfucker just cause they gonna kiss his ass. Now I will say that, and that's fucked up. He'll appoint a motherfucker just that's gonna kiss his ass, but not even from the rank and file, because he really trying to get in there and bust that rank and file. You know what I'm saying? Get somebody in there that's gonna be loyal to him and what he want, and it's- that's destruct. That could be very destructive because them boys in there got loyalty. You know what I'm saying? And then you gonna get rid of all the top generals because they're not gonna kiss your ass, and then you go to war with some toy soldiers and shit. You know, you in there with some toy soldiers and shit. And that's, that very well may be the predicament he in. You know, he came in, the Joint Chiefs of Staff was a black man. He got rid of him. Got rid of him. You see, got rid of him. You know, he should have kept the last brother that was in there that was under Biden. Should have kept him in there, kept that brother, but they racist. And yeah, we gonna say that. And they racist and they wanted to get them brothers up. And that's what I think the firing of the Secretary of the Army was about, because he was still promoting black generals. Nah, and so not just that, but females, but I don't feel they should be in the fighting aspect of the military. No way. You know what I'm saying? You don't send women out there to fight no damn war. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, family, this is looking bad. This is looking bad, but I'll reserve my opinion on it right now to because I'm thinking that this guy, particular guy, wasn't even a part of the rank and file of the Navy, and he might not be qualified, is really what it is. So he might be correcting himself on this one. He might have to get somebody in there that's really a general of the Navy, an admiral, not a general, but an admiral. You're gonna have to get a real admiral in there, because they don't even call him admiral. He's a secretary, but he didn't have no suit on or no medals or nothing. So he ain't even an admiral or nothing. But anyway, family, we'll get back here in a minute. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all get over to Patreon. We got that work, the Islamic Comedic Order. We about to get off into the sacred science, family. It's that time. See y'all in a minute. Click that link at the top of the chat, and I'll be right back. Black Power.